Welcome, everybody, to another thrilling, chilling, and oh-so-fulfilling episode of the BURKE Brigade, brought to you by The Liberty Daily.
Your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report.
I'm Matthew Burke.
And I'm Jennifer Burke.
And we are the BURKE Brigade, the place to go for all red-blooded Americans of all races, creeds, as long as you're a Christian and a constitutionalist and a Tea Partier and anything else, a conservative, and you hate communists, basically. Wow. Okay, we're going to start at the top. And I guess the top is this. Ambulance chaser, Democrat hack, Gloria Allred trotted out another accuser today against Ten Commandments judge, Christian constitutionalist Roy Moore. You know, we're less than 30 days out from the election. Now, she has a long history of doing this. In fact, she did it in the California race when Republican Meg Whitman was running against Jerry Brown. She trotted out somebody 30 days roughly before the race, before the election, stating, I don't even remember, it was Meg Whitman didn't pay her maid or something.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah, wasn't she also behind a lot of the Clarence Herman Cain accusers? Yeah,
that's exactly right. So she is a dirty tricks artist. And of course, you've got all the rhinos. My God, even Ted Cruz is in on it. All the rhinos lining up. Oh, I believe this new accuser. I believe, because, you know, Gloria Allred, come on, she's always critical. You brought this up to me today about the Herman Cain thing.
Right. I mean,
in
people,
2012.
look, I'm not saying, it's just...
It's highly suspicious.
It's highly suspicious.
At best.
Now, they have, he went out with these 16-year-olds. Well, in the state of Alabama, that is legal. 16 is the age of consent. But then they threw this 14-year-old in the mix with these claims. Like Matthew has said, how can you disprove? It's like he said, she said. How can you disprove something that happened nearly 35 years ago? That supposedly happened nearly 35 years ago.
38 years ago.
But 38, so nearly 40 years ago. But Herman Cain, lest we forget, for people like Mitt Romney who are saying, no, this isn't a court of law. He's not allowed, he doesn't need to get due process. He doesn't need to be believed to be innocent until proven guilty. This is an election that doesn't apply. When Herman Cain was on the rise in 2012, as he was going for the GOP nominee
against
Obama, all of a sudden you had all these women that came out of the woodwork accusing him of this and that, and he did this to me and everything. Gloria Allred just bringing people out and stuff. He was pressured into quitting the race. He did, and lo and behold, as soon as he quit the race, you didn't hear any rumblings anymore.
Yeah,
and you didn't hear people saying, well, what happened to these women? I mean, where did they go? I thought this was so horrible that there needed to be justice. I mean, there was just nothing. It just, boom, dropped it.
Nope.
And then think about Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas. Think about that. His whole campaign or his nomination to the Supreme Court was almost derailed from allegations by Anita Hill. Now, if today's logic of, you're guilty unless you can prove yourself innocent reigns true, would have been the norm back then we wouldn't have a Justice Clarence Thomas at all. We wouldn't have a Justice Clarence Thomas
at all.
Well, that's
right. That's right.
So I don't recall people saying that Bill Clinton had some nerve to run for president when he had very credible, with evidence and settlements, instances of sexual harassment and rape. I don't recall people saying, oh, Hillary Clinton should be disqualified for laughing about the rape of a 12-year-old and getting the guy off by basically saying she was asking for it, she wanted it, and then by dragging the names of her husband's victims through the mud. I don't recall people saying that. I don't recall people saying that Ted Kennedy should no longer be in Congress, should not be in Congress after he literally left a woman to drown. And then he went on to have this, huge career where he was lionized in the Senate. But now all of a sudden, it's like, oh, you're guilty until proven innocent. That's a dangerous precedent that these people are setting, because now, anytime these people want to get rid of anyone, all you have to do is have people make a claim that's so horrific that, it's got to be true, and then you'll just boot them out. Is that what we're heading towards in America?
That's the Democrat dirty trick. But here they're colluding with the rhinos, with the McConnell, the GOP establishment, and all of his little robotic stooges that rush to the microphone. Within seconds of the first allegation to believe the accusers. Of course, we have a Democrat senator right now, Bob Menendez, who is under bribery and corruption charges, massive bribery and corruption charges, and you can't even get a Republican to say he should resign from the Senate.
Right. And
why? Because he's part of the establishment.
Either, right?
Shannon Joy calls the Unibrow Party. These guys all go to the same country club. They all go to the same wine tastings. They all go to the same cigar lounge. And their goal is to protect one another. And to fight off, this is not a coincidence that Judge Roy Moore is a fiery Christian conservative. He is Ted Cruz on steroids, which is why they are attacking him so willingly, so energetically, so enthusiastically. You had Jeff the Flake today. Jeff the Flake, Arizona rhino, right along with, his butt boy, John McCain, say that he would definitely support a Democrat, a freaking Democrat, over Judge Roy Moore. The Democrat who believes in murdering children.
Right. Well, he
that's not a problem. And you're supposed to be giving us, Jeff the Flake, this what do they call it? Virtue signaling.
Right.
That you're taking the moral high ground. You are disgusted by the allegations. The seriousness of the charge. Forget whether they're true or not. It's the seriousness of the charge. Needless to say, if a woman came out and accused any one of these rhinos, which they will,
yeah, from
somebody that comes up 38 years ago, we're just going to remember this. Because whatever the allegation is, Gloria Allred, ambulance chaser, whoever she trots out, I am going to be the first one to believe every word they say.
Right.
If it's against one of these rhino stooges. And I will demand the same standards applied to Judge Roy Moore is applied to them. Because here's what he said. Jeff Flake, quote, this is in the Washington Examiner. I would literally, if I were in Alabama, I would run to the polling place to vote for the Democrat. Well, Jeff, you would do that anyway.
Right, he would do that anyway.
Your voting record is like a good, solid Democrat. Go to Conservative Review and look up his Liberty score. He gets an F.
Right?
F, as in fail and other things, as in flake. So, he would go for the Democrat. Well, of course he would. And then, you got Cory Gardner, the chairman of the National Republican Senatorial Committee. He's saying the same thing. They're all calling for Judge Moore to drop out. You even had Jeb Bush. Another woman came out and accused Jeb Bush's father, George H.W. Bush, of groping her when she was a teenager. Mm. And you've got Jeb Bush calling for Judge Roy Moore to step aside. But yet the allegations against his father, he won't, he's not going to comment on those, of course. It just tells you everything.
And no one's going to ask
that
him
you
about
need to
it
know.
either. No one's going to ask him.
And then you got like people like Bob Corker, Bob Corker, who said, well, Judge Moore was unqualified even before any of these allegations.
Why?
Because he's a Christian conservative.
But what, did he say why? Did
No,
anyone
of course
pressure him
not.
as to why?
This was in a tweet. So that tells you everything you need to know. They are out to destroy this man. Well, you have to believe the woman. That's bullshit. Utter BS.
Two words. Duke Lacrosse.
Yeah, Duke Lacrosse
Those
team.
boys' lives were completely ruined by an utter lie. The story by Rolling Stone, another guy whose life was completely ruined by false allegations of rape. I can't remember the football player. I talked about him the other night, who was, was probably going somewhere. He was a hot commodity coming out of high school. He was on track to go into a prestigious college football program. An ex-girlfriend accused him of rape. He went to prison, and then years later she admitted that she lied to get back at him.
Right.
So, I mean, don't say that these allegations are always true. They're not. Even in the most heinous, the Tawana Bradley, that whole lie-based story, courtesy
Al Sharpton, another good
of Al
leftist.
Sharpton. I mean,
This is how the establishment in both parties does things. Now, the Democrats are a lot more brazen at it, I think, than the Republicans. But if the establishment, the John McCains, the Mitch McConnells, the Jeff Flakes, that crowd, if they feel threatened, they will do anything to maintain their power. Hashtag political greed. But you brought up an excellent point, my dear, which, John McCain, he did not call for Ted Kennedy to resign after he murdered someone and left her to die in a lake.
right. Heck, Bill Clinton said that Robert Byrd, who was a leader in the KKK during the time when they were stringing black people up in a tree just for being black, that he was just trying to get leadership experience. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton called him a mentor.
Yeah.
But that's not a problem.
No, that's not an issue.
That's not problematic at all. So that Mary Jo Kopechne, she died as a result of actions taken by Ted Kennedy.
To cover his own you-know-what.
And McCain was a close friend of Kennedy for years before Kennedy passed away, thank God, in 2009. And they even worked together on liberal legislation, which McCain is still doing. And he praised Kennedy for his passionate advocacy and his gregarious and friendly demeanor and his congeniality. He's a murderer.
He was a flat-out murderer.
But it's okay with McCain because in McCain's case, he likes Democrats better than he does.
This is a dangerous.
Republicans.
All these people who are basically
it's collusion.
It sounds so bad. The allegations themselves. It sounds so bad. They're disturbing. Yeah, are they disturbing? Yeah, but there's a difference between disturbing and definitely true. This is a dangerous precedent that you people are trying to set. And mark my word, it'll be used to go after, if they're successful, it'll be used to go after Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, Rand Paul, anybody. Trump himself tried it with Ted Cruz. Coincidence that his buddy at the National Enquirer ran a story about Ted Cruz having these illicit affairs with these women. No, that wasn't any small coincidence. What happened? Ted Cruz went out fighting, and all of a sudden the story just disappeared.
Right. So that's the way you deal with these bastards is you fight back. And that's exactly what Judge Roy Moore did today. They don't get it. Or I guess they probably do get it. He's not playing games. He's not going to Washington, D.C. to get along to get along. He is going there to kick ass and take names later and support the U.S. Constitution, to fight for the U.S. Constitution, limited constitutional government, and the Judeo-Christian values that shaped and formed our nation into being the freest and the most prosperous nation on earth. Period. So that's why both parties, which have, done things like, driven up the national debt to over $20 trillion and given us 100 or 150 or 200 trillion, nobody can even count that high, $1 trillion in unfunded liabilities. I mean, nobody has a solution for that. It's just going to be an utter implosion at some point, because they can't. If interest rates go up, that is, I hate to get my economics head on. If interest rates go up, interest rate on the national debt will go up. Mm-hmm. If interest rates, let's say, double, let's say go to a historical norm of 6%, just a historical norm, it's over. You'll have interest on the national debt be a higher cost than the U.S. military. Just the interest, not paying it down.
Right.
Just the interest. So, and you don't even have any Republican that I've heard talk about cutting spending right now.
Right.
You don't even have the Freedom Caucus talking about cutting spending. You got this tax bill. It's nibbling around the edges, and they're not doing anything about spending. Spending's just as high as it was under Obama, and that's not Trump's fault. Congress holds the purse strings. The Republicans are really sly for the last 8 years, thinking that Obama is spending the money when they know constitutionally it's Congress that holds the purse strings. They do all the spending, and they blamed Obama for it because they're involved in all these intricate vote buying schemes, just like everything else. So McConnell, of course, he trotted out immediately today, with a little presser, saying that I believe the woman. I stand with the women. Catering to as if these feminazis are going to say, "Oh, okay, I'm going to vote Republican now because Mitch came out and said he, believes the women accusers that are being led by Gloria freaking Allred." Are you kidding me?
Right.
And these people are like, "Well, if they're true, it's Gloria Allred."
Right,
My
Gloria
God, people,
Allred.
Are you freaking kidding me? It's damn charade.
Didn't she represent Harvey Weinstein?
No, that was her daughter.
Oh, that's right.
Her daughter was so in favor of women, but of course, she saw a chance to make some bucks. So she was going to initially represent Harvey Weinstein against the real victims. And she was on his side. Now, of course, she's eating crow. Because Gloria Allred, she's getting up in years. She was passing the ambulance chasing torch to her daughter. But now her daughter is disgraced because of her association with Harvey Weinstein. So now she's going to lay low for a while. Mm-hmm. And then she'll, in
a week, she'll come out with another
She'll wait,
victim.
till 6 months people forget she represented Harvey Weinstein. And she'll be on to something else. So I know, my God, people, please don't be stupid. Gloria damn Allred, are you kidding me? She does this every time. Every time.
Yeah.
Good gosh. The victim looked credible. How much was she paid? Do you think this woman has been sitting around 40 years thinking about this stuff?
It's he said, she said. I just don't get it. I don't get this. For Mitt Romney to say, you're not innocent until proven guilty. This isn't a court of law. This is
unless you're Roy Moore.
Do you know how bad that this isn't a court of law? This is an election. So in an election, if you're running for office, then you can just get your name smeared, truth or not. But and to have your career and personal reputation shattered. And like I told you yesterday, we weren't on microphone, but like I told you yesterday, this isn't just an attempt to ruin him politically. This is an attempt to ruin his family.
Oh, his life. Yeah, of course. They want revenge.
They're saying that, he was doing things. He was, sexually assaulting these young girls after he was already married.
Yeah.
And people are saying, well, he has a pattern. Look, his wife was 17 when they got married. Never mind they've been married for over 40 years. Never mind their dating was legal in Alabama. It doesn't matter.
My mom got married at 16 or 17. That's the way it was done back then. Now people are getting married at 40.
This is the bed, Republicans, you're going to lie in if you're going to just you're guilty until proven innocent. Get ready for the Democrats to go after every single Republican that they don't like who's not McCain or Flake, and with information that sounds so bad it has to be believed.
And let's not forget, McConnell is out to destroy the Tea Party. He always has been. And his pool boy, Luther Strange, got beat by Judge Roy Moore after he spent $30 million to destroy Judge Roy Moore's character through there. Now, he couldn't even do these dirty tricks. He waited till the general because then they can get a Democrat. And here's the dirty little secret. Here's the dirty little secret that you might not get. You might. But you might not. In fact, you probably won't. Get on any other podcast or any other radio program. Any other conservative host. And this is it. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Follow the money. And by that I mean the Republicans would rather be, let's just face it, a minority party. Because they can portray, think about it. We were in the Tea Party movement. All the fundraising, when you can demonize the Democrats, they demonized Obama, who deserved it, of course, but they can raise a lot more money from people angry, pushing for the majority. Once they get the majority, we've learned they don't know what the hell to do with it.
Right. They go to the Democrats and say, what do you want again? Tell me.
Right. They cave on everything. All the promises that they raised money on for 8 years, they took all the checks. They cashed them. Elect us. We'll repeal Obamacare. We'll do that. You literally had John Kasich today. Yes, I know he's a governor. But he used to speak out against Obamacare. You literally had him on Sunday saying, sounding like a damn Democrat, you can't throw whatever number it was, he said, 25 million or something. You can't repeal Obamacare because it'll just throw 20 some odd million people off of health care. You can't take away people's health care. He sounds like Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, meanwhile, maybe you should talk to some of my friends, Latrine. Not Latrine. I'm sorry.
Crotchitch.
I get
John
confused.
Crotchitch.
Maybe you should talk to some of my friends who've had to drop their insurance because they couldn't afford to pay the premium, who have had to cut back on certain things because their insurance premium is now the most expensive part of their budget, more expensive than their house note, who are paying the health insurance cost but can't afford to use it because in addition to paying $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a month, they have a deductible that's $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a year. So they just can't afford to pay it. Maybe you should talk to some of them, John.
They don't care about them. No, they don't care about them. No. So here's what Roy Moore, boy, talk about babbling on my part, my dear. Judge Roy Moore responded to Mitch McConnell today, and he tweeted, the person who should step aside is, and he tagged him, at Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He has failed conservatives and must be replaced. Hashtag, and this is the hashtag he used, drain the swamp.
Drain the swamp.
I tell you, if you want to drain the swamp, you go straight for the head alligator, and that is Mitch McConnell. You get rid of him, and everything else gets immediately better, and all of his lackeys. All of his fellow little pool boys like Corker, who is on his way out. But you got Lindsey Graham in there, who's right one time out of 10. You got Flake, of course he's on his way out. But you've got all these, F Liberty scores from Conservative Review that need to go. Which they're Democrats.
Which means they say F you Liberty.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. You were going to, related to that, honey, Matt Walsh had an article over at the Daily Wire today. And, this is why Matt Walsh should make the big bucks. I don't know if he is or not, but he has something that is extremely rare today, and that is moral clarity. And he communicates it so well, and that's why the left hates him.
Yeah, he said, he has an article, if kids can't consent, stop pushing sex and birth control on them in grade school. So, he said, look, if the allegations against Roy Moore are true, then we should be talking about, some criminal justice here. He said, but I'm very confused about the left and, exactly what their sexual ethics are, probably because they have none. They make it up as they go along, vacillating between extremes and every once in a while landing on a correct answer when the correct answer seems to be convenient.
When it's politically expedient.
So he said, the operative, he said, I don't know if the accusations themselves are true, but it is true that a grown man who fondles a 14-year-old is a scumbag and a predator. Anyone guilty should be put in prison. The operative word, of course, here is guilty. I don't know if that word describes Roy Moore. I cannot say it does. Neither can I say definitively, as many on the right have, that it does not. But he said, the Democrats, that on the one hand, they're like, oh, this is terrible. But why are they pushing? They actually have to where schools take young girls without their parents' consent to get abortions.
To kill their babies.
To get abortions, to kill their babies.
After they've taught them how to get laid.
They're teaching young kids how to... they've gone from teaching them how to put on a condom and how to have sex to how to have anal sex. You have Teen Vogue talking to kids about the many different ways that you can have sex. So Matt Walsh is like, what is it? Which is it, Democrats? You can't have it both ways.
Oh, they can. They will.
As I documented extensively, the left has until this moment been incredibly eager to sexualize these vulnerable and innocent kids as early and as graphically as possible. Children in middle school are given masturbation and oral sex how-to lessons. Kindergartners are taught about cross-dressing and transgenderism. Preschoolers are gathered at the local library for drag queen story hours. Preteens are given birth control at school without parental notification. Young girls are invited to have abortions, kill their babies without parental notification. Even the music they listen to and the TV shows they watch are intensely sexual. Normally we are told that none of this is a problem. In fact, we're assured only out-of-touch Puritans would dare suggest that children are too young for sex. I will never forget, years and years ago, I was still living in Houston, so this was, I don't know exactly how long ago, 13, 14 years ago. A song came on the radio, something about lick you like a lollipop. And I'm listening to the lyrics of this song, and I'm like, oh my gosh. This song is absolutely disgusting. I immediately picked up the phone, called my sister, and said, look, if you ever hear, the boys listening, to this song, I told her about it. I said, turn it off immediately. Because a lot of kids their age, they wouldn't necessarily know what it means, but that's that subliminal message. Because they were very young back then.
They know because Bill Clinton taught them.
Right.
How to get a Lewinsky.
So he said, if children can't consent to sex, as you say, why are we giving them birth control? Why are we teaching them about fellatio and anal sex as early as 6th grade if they are years and years away from being able to consent to these activities?
Yeah, why is
they
that?
They are perverting our society.
Hashtag cultural Marxism.
Yeah,
they want to destroy
our society. And then, wanting to say something completely different when it's convenient for them.
So this this deal is so bad, so slimy. This hit job, which started, by the way, with the Washington Post hit piece, the Washington Post, that even Chuck Todd, even NBC Meet the Press, normally a Democrat hack, but even Chuck Todd never want to, get it right. He gets it right. He even smells a rat, and he said Sunday, this whole thing looks like it's orchestrated by Mitch McConnell.
He said that?
Yes, because how quick all of McConnell's minions, his close associates, how they came out just in record time with prepared statements.
Right.
I mean, it was like it was all lined up. And these guys all have contacts, at the Washington Dumb as a Post. Here, let's play this. Hopefully this isn't too far into it.
Here, what's the party? I mean, Pat Toomey wouldn't answer the question. what's worse, if Roy Moore wins or loses for the GOP?
I think absolutely it is worse if Roy Moore wins for the GOP.
Oh, sorry, you gotta hear this stupid Time contributor, who's obviously a leftist.
And you look at that interview, that's case in point. It was so uncomfortable for Senator Toomey to try to defend these charges of pedophilia against Roy Moore. And he was
So she's saying pedophilia, and Chuck not that either one is good, but Chuck Todd corrects her and he goes, it's not pedophilia, okay? If they're in their teens, it might be molestation, but it's
forced
not
to say the allegations were
In fairness, it's molestation. It isn't pedophilia. Molestation is we looked up this legal definition to be careful there, but it's molestation.
Molestation.
When it's teens, when it's preteen, it is
pedophilia.
When we're having to debate this,
molestation,
versus
when you were having to defend someone who is accused of it and who there are corroborated eyewitnesses backing up the case, it's a tough position to be in.
Charles.
If it happened, but it's just a really weird coincidence when it comes out 30 days before an election.
Is Mitch McConnell, the way he's been, this clearly felt almost orchestrated the minute, within an hour this came out, many of the McConnell allies came out and said he's got to go.
Do you hear that?
Within an hour.
Now, you can't get them to come out and condemn corrupt Democrat Bob Menendez, who's facing bribery and corruption, multiple counts.
Heck, you couldn't get them to do anything against Barack Obama, who was the most unconstitutional president we've ever had.
Exactly. But they would, of course, fund everything that Obama wanted. But a Christian conservative, they're on that Johnny on the spot. Oh, we believe the accusers, we don't care. And, you had McCain, who in 2008 was accused of having an affair. They tried the same kind of dirty tricks on him. During the, as I recall, during the primary, the Democrat media supported McCain as the maverick because they wanted, the Democrats always do this. They either want a rhino as president just in case they can't get the Democrat elected, right? So they supported McCain, but then once he got up against Obama in 2008, out come the dirty tricks. So then he had these accusations that, that he had affairs, and what did he call them? Political smears. He called them smears. But yet, I thought we're supposed to always believe the accuser.
I thought we were, Johnny.
I mean, I'm just confused. I'm not confused. Mm-hmm. I just think these people are dirty. As dirty as the day is long. And speaking of dirty, you have a story about cop-hating, communist Castro-loving, unemployed quarterback Colin Kaepernick.
Right. This is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I thought this was The Onion when I saw it, but it wasn't. Absolutely ridiculous.
That's what it sounds like.
GQ, once known to be a fashion magazine, but then, what they really are a bunch of liberal propagandists.
A commie rag.
Names blowout kit wearing Colin Kaepernick Citizen of
you and
the
your
Year.
Blowout kit.
It's a blowout kit. That's not his hair. I don't know what he's doing to make his hair look like that. But this, black people don't have your intelligence insulted with Colin Kaepernick, who grew up in a lily white neighborhood. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But I take issue with someone who grew up in a wealthy white family, in a wealthy white neighborhood, who got a position at UNLV because of his white coach who did a whole tape for him to try to push him out to colleges who weren't interested in him as quarterback, who was given a chance by a white NFL coach, all of a sudden saying Whitey's the bad guy, talking like he lived in the hood, on the street.
Yeah, now he's down for the struggle. You know what? Maybe Colin Kaepernick is suffering from white guilt.
Perhaps. Obviously, an extreme case of white guilt, because he is biracial. I'm more black than Colin Kaepernick could ever dream to be. But anyway, so they named him Citizen of the Year. And they said he's a man who became a movement. He's been blackballed for his protests against police brutality. He's been locked out of the game he loves because of one simple gesture. He knelt during the playing of our national anthem, and he did it for a clear reason, one that's been lost in the year-long storm that followed. He did it to protest systematic oppression.
No, he did it because he's a communist who hates cops.
Police brutality toward black people. Now, Colin Kaepernick has been made out to be this amazing quarterback who's not being given a shot because, of these protests. And they've actually perverted his protests into saying he wasn't protesting against the flag. No, I recall, you can't change history. Democrats like to try, but you can't. I recall Colin Kaepernick said, I will not stand for a flag. I will not stand for a flag
that stands for racism.
The oppression of black people. That is what he said. It was about the flag.
And
it was about the flag.
The other proof is that you have the California NAACP now trying to say that the Star-Spangled Banner is racist. So it is against the flag. They're lying about
absolutely
that
lying.
It's not about the flag. They're lying about that it is about the flag. They're lying. They're liars.
Absolute liars. And Colin Kaepernick, despite people trying to act like, he's all that in a bag of freaking chips, which he's not, he was he had one good season, his second year in the league. That was it. It's been all downhill from there. He can't hit the side of a barn.
No, he's a great running quarterback.
He's a great running quarterback, but
he can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Here's the difference between him and Russell Wilson, who's also a great running quarterback. Russell Wilson can also throw with accuracy, and he can't. So I have to share this. A friend of mine posted on Facebook very, very, very appropriately. Let me plug in my laptop before it dies. I've said this myself, and I'm going to read what my friend said. First, because they also have a article, Colin Kaepernick will not be silenced. So a friend of mine said...
hold on. I gotta interject something. When does he talk?
Right, he doesn't.
He doesn't. He wears his cops are pig socks.
Right.
He wears his T-shirts praising communist butcher Fidel Castro.
He was given the opportunity to go to an owners meeting, and he declined
doesn't talk.
it. He just didn't show.
You know why? Because he can't put two words together. He's a bumbling idiot.
So a friend of mine said, first of all, nobody's trying to silence Colin Kaepernick. Get over yourself, dude, as you're not important enough to be silenced. Apparently going from a promising NFL quarterback to a terrible NFL quarterback, and then in that capacity taking a dump on the national anthem as a form of protest now gets you labeled Man of the Year at GQ. And I saw another great meme. Picture of J.J. Watt, didn't see his face, number 99, going out the tunnel. And the picture of Colin Kaepernick with his blowout kit wearing fro.
You're terrible.
Side by side. One of these men raised $35.4 million for the victims of Hurricane Harvey. And the other one was named GQ's Man of the Year or Citizen of the Year. Just absolutely ludicrous. I guess their definition of what makes a good citizen is drastically different than mine.
Now, you said the reason why he was honored by GQ. Which is just nothing but cultural Marxism.
Liberal rag. Liberal cultural Marxist
because
rag.
He took a dump on the American flag.
Took a dump on the American flag.
That's why he's been reported. He's been rewarded. It's like giving Hillary Clinton the Medal of Freedom or something.
Right.
It's just absolutely ludicrous.
Didn't John McCain do that?
No, I think Jeb Bush gave it to her.
John McCain awarded her something, too, here in Arizona.
Oh, yeah, his best friend. But Todd Starnes... Christian conservative Fox News Radio, he had a different take on it. He said GQ should have named Colin Kaepernick its, quote, coward of the year. And he says...
Who's this, honey?
Todd Starnes?
Todd Starnes.
That deflection. The left, and I had tipped Rush Limbaugh for this, they will always accuse you of doing precisely what they are doing.
Precisely.
Like this Hillary-Russia collusion thing. Who is colluding with Russia? Hillary Clinton. Yet, they are going full court press to try to invent something that it was Donald Trump.
Yes,
and
they've been investigating for well over a year, for a year and a half nearly.
And, here's something else really smart that Todd Starnes said. Marine veteran Taylor Weston commandeered a pickup truck and rushed victims of the Las Vegas massacre to the hospital. Remember that? He did not make the list at GQ. Of course. Neither did Stephen Williford, the Texas plumber who grabbed a gun and ran barefoot towards the First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, AR-15 in hand. His action stopped I'll add this, atheist, a godless, pagan, progressive atheist, from killing even more innocent people. He was somehow not on the list. And this sounds racist. What about the all-volunteer Cajun Navy who came from New Orleans to help their brothers in Houston and that whole area that was being devastated by a 500-year flood, Hurricane Harvey? They pulled hundreds of citizens from the floodwaters in the aftermath, and they didn't make the list. But you get somebody who takes a dump on the national anthem, who's a communist,
praises Castro,
a butcher, and hates our country and everything it stands for, and should be deported to North Korea. He gets Citizen of the Year.
That tells you
part of
everything
being a
that's
citizen
wrong.
is to do the national anthem.
But it tells you everything that's wrong with the left in this country
They
today.
hate the country. They absolutely hate the country. They hate everything about the country. Okay, there's some really interesting things going on with Uranium One and Jeff Sessions and the Russian dossier, and I think it's gonna hit the fan. I think either Jeff Sessions is going to do his job and appoint a special counsel soon, or he's going to lose his job. Hopefully, I hate to say that, but he deserves to if he doesn't do this, because that's where the real Russian collusion is. But, honey, you had this absolutely ludicrous story, and this is on, again, the Liberty Daily, your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report. Go to thelibertydaily.com. And it seems like the left, all of a sudden, after Martin Luther King, the great Martin
His dream
Luther
is
King,
dead.
Don't judge people
America.
by the color of their skin, by the content of their character. After he fought and won the war against, Democrat segregation, it looks like the Democrats are going back to their old ways, and they want to segregate just in every way. But this is ridiculous.
Every way. We've seen it in college campuses with black students wanting a safe space away from white students, wanting their own student union, their own building to go hang out in, wanting to segregate themselves in dormitories, not wanting to have to live with black people. With the white people. We see that New York Times columnist asking, should I tell my son not to be friends with white people? Like his black son. You have an extra room in your house, whatever. You have a little house in your backyard. Didn't want to rent to Trump supporters. At the inauguration, Airbnb people were locking up their basically saying their places were unavailable during Trump's inauguration because they didn't want a Trump supporter to potentially rent out their place. Now you have a group wanting to do an entire anti-Trump hotel. The world's first politically motivated hotel, Eaton Workshop. It's set to open in the spring of 2018. It's going to broadcast a montage of news footage from the 2012 Obama's re-election under questionable circumstance, if you ask me, many lies he told to get his re-election sealed. And the 2016 presidential elections for guests to see when they first enter the building. They're going to have, the 209 rooms are going to be built around liberal activism and civic engagement. And the brand will weave a liberal philosophy into every aspect of the guest experience. It's going to have a co-working space that will prioritize memberships for progressive startups, activists, and artists, and a wellness program that will offer inner health-focused treatments, including Reiki and sound bath. What the hell is a sound bath?
Suck it.
What's a sound bath? Yeah, so they're not only planning...
I'm actually afraid to look that up.
Right? They're not only planning to open one up in Washington, D.C., they have new construction coming in San Francisco and Seattle. The other two far-left bastions, Seattle, who has a statue of Lenin prominent in their town. In 2019, and they're opening one in Hong Kong in 2018. Room rates in D.C. are going to be in the upper 200s. We're hoping that our hotel revenues will propel our creative projects. Remember how you've always said, with ABC and Disney relies on their profits from Disneyland and Disney World to push out their leftist, far-left, anti-America commie propaganda on their networks.
Yep, they do their family shows, which are the big hits, and Disney, used to be a family theme park, and they use Mickey Mouse to fund their cultural Marxism. That's what they do it. No more. Hashtag boycott Disney. And if you don't believe me, take a look at ESPN, which...
laying off people left and right. Another 100+ layoffs in the works.
I think Steve Dace is the one that coined the phrase ESPN with footballs. So, yeah. I've got a prediction. And I've got to guess what a sound bath is.
Should I look it up?
No, I would. I mean, you can, but I think I've got a pretty good idea what it is. Is Bill Clinton sitting there playing the harmonica while he watches you bathe?
A healing session.
Wait, they don't believe in
you
God.
You can experience while resting in a safe and secure place.
Who does the healing? Karl Marx?
Oh my goodness gracious!
Oh my gosh. Okay, so do I have time to do this? I think we'll just cut it off right here. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning into the BURKE Brigade, brought to you by the Liberty Daily.
Your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report.
Go to thelibertydaily.com, thelibertydaily.com. Oh!
Yes, Epstein.
One more small little matter that I forgot to talk about. So, Matt Drudge today, speaking of the Drudge Report.
Speaking of your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report.
Right.
All the more reason for you guys to tune in to TLD.
The Liberty Daily. Matt Drudge has done some good things over the years. I mean, before there was conservative media, there was Matt Drudge, so... it pains me to knock the guy. So I'm just going to read, and I'm not going to. I'm just going to say here. He tweeted today. He was slamming the Washington Post, because the Washington Post basically accused the Drudge Report of trafficking in Russian propaganda, which is utterly ridiculous in defense of the Drudge Report. I mean, it's utterly stupid. Yeah, he links to InfoWars once in a while. But, I mean, that's kind of stupid. And he fired back, and he said in a tweet, hey, I've linked to Washington Post over 10,000 times in 25 years.
Is this supposed to impress us?
Of doing Drudge Report. I'm reading a quote. He tweeted this at Drudge. I currently give them, listen to this. This one website, Drudge Report, gives the Washington Post, which was failing so badly it had to be bought out, it had to be rescued by leftist Amazon CEO and founder Jeff Bezos. I currently give them 37% of their referral traffic.
Wow.
According to SimilarWeb.com. It's a brutal business. And not even a thank you. So Drudge gives the Washington Post, you have to even wonder if they would ever even exist. And the New York Times is probably just as much.
Right?
I mean, I'm going to guess. Because, I mean, that's one of the reasons why, honey, you and I started the Liberty Daily.
Yep.
Is because we were tired of, clicking on a link and providing clicks to leftist media,
Yep.
which is our enemy.
Exactly.
The enemy of the country. I mean, Drudge is a big Trump guy. Trump says the liberal media is the enemy, and Drudge is providing clicks, therefore, to the enemy. It makes no sense.
None.
I mean, when he started, I get it. There wasn't any conservative
Right,
media.
but there are now.
I mean, you got Washington Post, Washington Times, Washington Examiner,
Newsmax,
CNS News,
Newsbusters,
Breitbart,
Daily Wire,
yeah,
Politistic.
yeah, Daily Caller, The Blaze. I mean, there's more than we can even think of. There's really, and that's one of the things. You go to the Liberty Daily, you're going to support conservative media.
Right. Because we support conservative media.
Because when 99.99% of the time, if you click on a link on thelibertydaily.com, you're going to be referred to a conservative website.
Yep.
Like one of the ones we mentioned and several others. I mean, there's like 70 conservative websites we follow for news stories.
Right.
And that's why the Liberty Daily was recently ranked as the #1 conservative news site in America.
Amen, brother.
We got a little bit. We're not getting quite as few clicks as Drudge. I'm just saying.
Yet.
I am just saying. But Drudge, I mean, is so powerful. They get more hits than Yahoo News, Fox News, CNN, all these huge news sites. They get millions and millions and millions of hits every day, and they're driving a buttload of business to liberal websites. Mm-hmm. I mean, and then the irony is that when Drudge was complaining about the Washington Post not thanking him, even though he sends them 37% of their business, the irony is he then linked to another Washington Post story so they could get even more clicks.
Oh.
And, I had to click on that Washington Post story, unfortunately. But even they said it means that Drudge has more page views. They call it Drudge the second most visited website on the internet. More page views than Yahoo, Disney, including ABC and ESPN, and Time Warner. It had more than the New York Times and the Washington Post combined. So if you're tired of propping up liberal media, go to thelibertydaily.com and we will just solve that problem in your life. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
God bless y'all and God bless America.